We're standing at the edge of history, in a place that shouldn't exist. This is Mohenjo-daro, deep in modern-day Pakistan. They call it the Mound of the Dead, and honestly, it's for good reason. Around 4,500 years ago, this was a thriving metropolis, one of the most advanced cities of its time. It had a sophisticated grid layout, complex water management systems, and multi-story brick houses. The people of the Indus Valley Civilization were masters of urban planning. They really had it all figured out. But then, sometime around 1700 BC, the lights just went out. The bustling streets fell silent, and the entire city was abandoned, seemingly overnight. The mystery here is, well, it's pretty profound. Why would a civilization at the peak of its power just walk away? There are no signs of a gradual decline, no evidence that the river changed its course, or that the climate turned against them. It's as if one day the city was full of life, and the next, it was a ghost town. When archaeologists first unearthed this incredible site in the 1920s, they were completely stumped. They found a city frozen in time, but the final chapter of its story was just missing. It's a historical cold case, a puzzle that has baffled experts for a century, and the clues left behind are as bizarre as they are chilling. As excavators dug deeper, the questions only multiplied. They didn't find the typical signs of an invasion, like layers of ash from a citywide fire or the mass graves of soldiers. Instead, they found something far stranger. In the upper layers of the city, they discovered scattered skeletons. These weren't buried in tombs or cemeteries. They were found in the streets, in houses, some seemingly caught in the middle of their daily lives. It looked like a sudden, catastrophic event had swept through Mohenjo-daro, leaving no one behind to tell the tale or even bury the dead. This wasn't a city that died. It was a city that was snuffed out. This is where the story takes a turn into the truly extraordinary. The official explanations, disease, flood, social collapse, just don't seem to fit all the evidence. The sheer abruptness of the abandonment points to something else, something far more terrifying and instantaneous. It's a scenario that seems ripped from the pages of science fiction, but some researchers believe it's the only explanation that makes sense. They propose a theory so wild, it forces us to question everything we think we know about the ancient world. The idea that Mohenjo-daro was destroyed in a prehistoric nuclear war. It's a bold claim, and it sends us on a quest for some very unconventional evidence. When you start digging into the ancient nuclear war theory, the first thing you encounter are the bodies. In 1927, archaeologists found 44 skeletons. They weren't soldiers. They were men, women, and children, found lying in the streets. One group of 9, including 5 children, were huddled together in a twisted heap. Another family was found holding hands, as if they were facing their final moments together. Strangely, these remains showed no signs of injury from conventional weapons like swords or arrows. Their deaths were sudden and unexplained, pointing to an invisible killer that struck without warning, leaving them exactly where they fell. This is the kind of scene you'd expect after a cataclysm. Then there are the rumors of radiation. Some early accounts, like those from researcher A. Gorbowski, claimed that at least one of the skeletons was found to have radiation levels 50 times higher than normal. There were even reports of a layer of highly radioactive ash discovered in the region. This is where the theory really gains traction. If true, it would be a smoking gun, suggesting exposure to something far beyond the capabilities of any known ancient technology. Proponents argue this is direct physical evidence of a nuclear-type event, a silent testament to a forgotten high-tech catastrophe that unfolded thousands of years ago. The most compelling and controversial piece of evidence lies within the ruins themselves. British Indian researcher David Davenport identified what he called a 50-yard wide epicenter. Within this zone, the physical evidence is startling. He reported that rocks and bricks were literally melted and fused together. Thousands of clay pots and vessels were found transformed into a vitrified, glass-like substance. This process, known as vitrification, requires incredibly high temperatures, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1500 to 3000 degrees Celsius. To put that in perspective, that's hotter than a volcanic eruption. What ancient force could generate that kind of heat? This phenomenon isn't unique to Mohenjo-daro. Across the world, from the Libyan desert to parts of India, vast fields of fused green glass have been found. Some, like MIT engineer Albion W. Hart, noted the striking similarity between this desert glass and the material created by the first atomic bomb test in New Mexico. The problem is, the desert glass would have required an explosion 10,000 times more powerful. For proponents of the ancient nuclear theory, the conclusion is obvious. The melted rocks of Mohenjo-daro and the fields of desert glass are the scars left behind by an impossibly advanced weapon. The search for answers doesn't stop with archaeology. Sometimes you have to look at the stories people told. Ancient India's epic poem, the Mahabharata, is a key piece of this puzzle. It's a sprawling tale of gods, heroes, and a cataclysmic war. But woven into the mythology are descriptions of weapons that sound eerily modern. The text speaks of a single projectile, charged with all the power of the universe, that created an enormous blast more brilliant than 1,000 suns. Smoke and fire rose in glowing columns, and the world trembled. It sounds less like a battle with swords and more like a description of a nuclear detonation. The poem goes on to describe the horrifying aftermath of these weapons. It says the blast caused the bodies of the fallen to be burned beyond recognition. Survivors lost their hair and fingernails, and food became contaminated. These are classic symptoms of acute radiation poisoning, something that shouldn't have been known or described thousands of years ago. Even J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, famously quoted a line from a related Hindu text after witnessing the Trinity test. Some interpret this as a hint that he knew he wasn't the first to unleash such terrifying power upon the world. This is where the theory gets even wilder, taking us from ancient history to the fringes of ufology. If ancient humans didn't have nuclear technology, who did? Some researchers like Billy Carson, who recently discussed the topic on the Joe Rogan podcast, point the finger skyward. They connect Mohenjo-daro to a supposed ancient war between extraterrestrial beings, maybe the Anunnaki from Sumerian lore. In this version of events, humanity was just caught in the crossfire of a cosmic conflict fought on our own planet. The city wasn't just destroyed, it was a casualty of a war between the gods. This line of thinking opens up a whole new rabbit hole. Carson has even claimed that these alien visitors manipulated human genetics, inserting a worship gene to make us more compliant. According to this theory, the destruction of Mohenjo-daro wasn't just an act of war, it was part of a larger, galactic agenda involving the control and development of the human species. It's an idea that pushes the boundaries of belief, suggesting that the answers to Mohenjo-daro's demise aren't buried in the earth, but are hidden in the stars, waiting to be rediscovered. It's a mind-bending possibility. Now, it's time for a reality check. As compelling as these theories are, mainstream scientists and archaeologists are deeply skeptical. They look at the same evidence and see a very different story. For starters, they argue that if a nuclear blast, or anything like it, had leveled Mohenjo-daro, the destruction would have been far more complete. Fragile mud brick walls are still standing throughout the city. A shockwave powerful enough to melt rock would have flattened every single structure for miles. The buildings that remain standing are a silent rebuttal to the idea of a massive explosion. Critics also offer alternative explanations for the physical evidence. The vitrified pottery? It could be the result of intense, but conventional fires in pottery kilns that malfunctioned and overheated, a phenomenon seen at other ancient sites. What about the skeletons in the street? The 44 bodies, discovered over a large area and at different depths, may not have died at the same time. They could represent hurried burials during a plague, or the unburied victims of a raid, their remains scattered over time. And the claims of high radiation, they have never been independently verified by modern peer-reviewed studies. The mainstream consensus is that the decline of Mohenjo-daro and the entire Indus Valley Civilization was likely a slow process, not a sudden cataclysm. A combination of factors such as climate change, the shifting course of the Indus River, and the breakdown of trade networks probably led people to gradually abandon the city over decades. This explanation is less dramatic, but it's supported by broader archaeological and environmental data. The idea of a lost high-tech war is a fantastic story, but for most experts, it remains just that, a story, not history. And so, the mystery of Mohenjo-daro endures. Was it the site of a forgotten nuclear apocalypse, a battleground for alien gods? Or was its end the result of more earthly problems, a slow decay that left a ghost city on the plains of Pakistan? The truth is, we still don't know for sure. Every clue seems to lead to more questions, but that is what makes this place so captivating. Mohenjo-daro stands as a monument to a brilliant lost civilization and a powerful reminder that some of history's greatest secrets are still out there, waiting to be discovered. The expedition